Moving into a big game, really exciting game, we have Appalachian State on the road at James Madison. The Dukes are 9-point home favorites in this game, carries an over-under 55.5 points as it stands today. This is weird. It kicks off at 2 p.m. Eastern on ESPN+. Okay, fine, whatever. But this is also College Game Day's pick of the week. Why can't we flex this into a national game? Come on, guys. What are we doing, though? This is the third time that Game Day has been to James Madison, first time as a member of the FBS. Appalachian State is on a 3-game win streak, and they took some midweek movement from as high as plus 12, I saw, down, of course, to that plus 9, plus 8.5 at some books. James Madison is just 5-12 against App State since 1982. That, of course, dating back to their FCS days, but they did have a big comeback last year when they were down 28-10.5, pitched the second half shutout to win. App State, like I said, was as high as the 12-11.5. That, to me, is interesting. And it's potentially because James Madison lost one of the most prolific players, not just on their roster, but the entire country. Jalen Green, pass rusher for James Madison, he's out for the season. That really sucks. He still leads the country pretty comfortably with 18 sacks already on the season. And he's not even going to play the last 3 games, man. This is an absolute game wrecker. But even without him, James Madison's strength is still in their defensive front. They're number 2 in EPA per rush allowed, first in success rate nationally, allowing a sub 30% rushing success rate against some teams in the Sun Belt that can run the football pretty well. They're also 5th in sack rate, so across the board, they're pretty good in their front 7, especially on that defensive line, even without Jalen Green. App State, on the other hand, they've had issues protecting quarterback Joey Aguilar, weird inflection on that one, even with his super quick release. I'm talking sub 2.6 average time to throw. They're still having trouble keeping him protected. Of course, that's resulted in a very low pressure to sack rate, which has been pretty good. I think he's been playing pretty well overall since stepping in for Ryan Berger this year. 26 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. He does make up for a lacking run game, even with Nate Noel, who right now, he's been hurt. He started to look like he had a little bit more pop last week against Georgia State, going for 86 yards on 10 carries. But right now, he's still probably only at 50%, and I judge that based on the fact that his typical workload is 25 to 30 carries a game. Now he's only getting 13 to 15. That's a pretty good indicator of judging, hey, where is an athlete at in his recovery? Looks like smack dab at 50%, but improving. I'm not sure his health makes that big a difference, though, because, again, the Dukes are probably going to force Aguilar to air the ball out. They're going to take the run game away like they have all season and force the quarterback to do something with it. And then on the other end, something has to give. James Madison's been really inefficient in the run game this year. Less than 4 yards a carry on the season, 123rd in rushing success rate. App State is 119th against the run this year. So which one gives? Does James Madison continue not to block the run very well, or are they going to find some success against this defense?
In an even kind of larger macro view, Brett, it almost feels like this is a little bit of a changing of the guard opportunity. You know, when people think of, FCS or upstart teams in the FBS, App State's one that comes to mind. It goes back to the 2007 game at the Big House, right? And that's been now they've experienced success at the FBS level for, a handful of years now. I mean, almost a decade now, I feel like, at this point. So App State has kind of been that team. James Madison, though, I mean, what a season. Has any program ever made the transition to the top level of college football look this easy? Like last year, now this year, it does feel like James Madison is that kind of new App State, if you will, and this is a chance for them to really cement that with a win. One game doesn't take away what App State's accomplished and doesn't necessarily overcome all of that. But man, James Madison's just looked so good since they made the transition. They might be the kind of that new team that people think of when you think of FCS, new FBS teams. It's James Madison now. And my number in this game, Brett, is James Madison minus 10. Again, I don't know why, just makes me feel really good about my numbers when the opening line is whatever it is. It crosses over my number, and then by the time kickoff comes, we've bet on both sides of what my number is. It just makes me feel good about where the model's calibrated for these teams. It's a 77% win expectancy for the Dukes in this one. At 10-0, James Madison has 3.5 more wins than my preseason realistic expectations projected through week 11. That makes the Dukes number 1 on my overachievers list. Again, what a season they are having. This team is currently power rated a season best number 38. They're in the top 40 on both sides of the ball. Forget G5 status, transitioning status, forget all the qualifiers. This is a really good football team. Like, they are very impressive. They're efficient. They're playing at a very high level. And for App State, 6-4 isn't meeting the standard that they've set. I talked about that a little bit to open this up, but the Mountaineers still have a top 30 offense. Unfortunately, the defense is currently number 99. That's the main reason why this team has just a 10% chance to win the division right now. But a win in this one, and again, James Madison's not eligible, at least pending the Hail Mary they're trying to throw here, which who knows? Maybe it works, and if it does, great. If it doesn't, no harm, no foul. Those odds for App State to make the champ game improved to 41% chance with a win in this one. This is a big obstacle for them. Tiebreakers can get interesting in this division, but a huge opportunity for App State to try to get a lot done here on the field. With 3 of the 4 units power ranked in the top 40, this should be a really fun game. Brett, it's the game day game as you talked about. It's the game that you're writing about for thelines.com. It's a game we should pay attention to. Yeah, I wish it wasn't on ESPN Plus. Hey, I've got ESPN Plus. I'll have it on. But for a lot of people, yeah, why is this game not on an ESPN2 or an ESPNU? Shoot, even ESPN at that point, why not show a little love in a week that doesn't maybe have as many high-profile Power 5 versus Power 5 games? Bottom line, I have James Madison -10. It's a 23% chance that App State spoils the Duke's perfect season. I just think that App State defense, they're the outlier unit, and this game is in Harrisonburg. That, to me, is the difference. I think James Madison gets it done and moves to within 1 game of a perfect regular season.
Yeah, and that Hail Mary that you mentioned, the Sun Belt had already said that if the NCAA approves their waiver, they will let them play in the championship game. Now it goes from James Madison being ineligible for a bowl game at all to
New Year's
probably the New Year's 6 bid. Like probably playing in the Cotton Bowl. If I had to guess with which one they're going to get, it would probably be the Cotton. And they play a Penn State or you know, a Oregon or a team that doesn't, just on the outside of the CFB.
They have to finish the deal, right? Well, first they have to get eligible. They have to be ruled eligible. And then they need to finish the deal, which means winning the next couple games and then winning the Sun Belt Championship game. It's not easy task. But if they do, I mean, they're currently number 12 in my most deserving rankings. That is, they're eligible for my most deserving. So I have them number 12. And there's no other G5 team that is at that level right now from a resume standpoint. So if they keep winning, I think they'd be in the New Year's 6 if they're given the eligibility waiver.
Well, if we're looking at the over-under here, 55 is the most key figure in college football totals betting over the last 5 seasons. Both teams, I think, counter each other very well. Like you said, it's all top 40 units, save for the App State defense. I'm going to be honest, this is a play for the under. I like it at 55 or better or higher in this case, betting under that total. It's hard for a team to get into a rhythm if you have a balanced offense, which both these teams are. They're about 52 to 55% run calls. And when you can't get the run game going, it's really hard to get a consistent rhythm. Ultimately, I believe James Madison's ability to put the brakes on App State's run game, their offense as a whole, I think that they'll be able to do that. And then right now it's kind of scorched earth season for JMU as they kind of vie for that postseason bid. So I think that they're really going to apply the brakes to App State's offense. And I don't see James Madison really doing all of the legwork for that 55.5. So I like under. I like under here as long as you can get it 55 or better.